Hey everybody, welcome to another director's ranking video where I rank every film by a certain director. I have done other director ranking videos such as Wes Anderson, Quentin Tarantino, David Lynch. Now, today I will be ranking all seven, not six, seven of Edgar Wright's films. Yes, I know what you're thinking. I thought he had six, not seven. No, apparently he has seven. He actually has seven films. The one he did one years before he did Shaun of the Dead, and that is really hard to find. But I did happen to find it, and I watched it, so I'll be including it into this ranking. So yes, all seven of Edgar Wright's full length feature films, not as short films. No, full length feature films. Yes, Edgar Wright, great director. I really like him a lot. I wish he had a little bit more films though, but he's a great director. I love his style. Yeah, he's great. Okay, so all right, all seven of his films ranked from my least favorite to my favorite. So okay, let's fix the camera here. Okay, let's go ahead and get started, shall we? Okay, number seven, my least favorite Edgar Wright film is his debut film, his real debut film. Like I said, he did one film years before he did Shaun of the Dead, and this is the one. So my number seven is A Fistful of Fingers. Yes, A Fistful of Fingers. This came out in 1995, and this is a spoof on westerns, kind of like Blazing Saddles in a way. Um, yeah, this movie is really hard to find. I mean, I don't think it's ever been released on physical media, and the only way, at least the easiest way you can find this movie is on YouTube. There is a free version of this film on YouTube. The quality is not very good. I think it might have been recorded like on a VHS or something, but that is at least the easiest way you could find this movie. Um, so yeah, I found it on YouTube and I watched it. I was like, I have to put this on the ranking because no one else ever puts this on the ranking. Mostly because it's hard to find if they have heard of this film. That is because there is a lot of people that haven't heard of this film because it is hard to find. Um, but I was like, I have to include this one. That is, if I can watch it, I have to include it. So yeah, I found it, I watched it, and yeah, it's definitely Edgar Wright's worst film. Do I think it's terrible? Not necessarily. I mean, okay, it's not very good. It's not very good. It's kind of cringy, honestly. It's a little bit cringy, but I I appreciate it. I think it's at least interesting that this is Edgar Wright. This is way different from his other films. Even the comedy is way different. This is a little bit more slapsticky, a little. Like this is a spoof on Western films. I probably like Fistful of Dollars because of the title. It's very Mel Brooks, Monty Python humor, but not as good as those. There was a little bit of moments that kind of made me laugh, but it's kind of cringy, honestly. But for what it is, it's fine. It's harmless. It's really stupid, but then again, the Cornetto trilogy is kind of stupid too. But they're also pretty clever films. They have dumb jokes, but they do it in a very clever way. This one, not really. This one's just dumb. But if you do like Edgar Wright, I do recommend in watching this. There is a free, like I said, there's a free version of this on YouTube, and you can find it there. Um, just type in A Fistful of Fingers full movie, and it should pop up. Um, but yeah, it is definitely the worst and my least favorite Edgar Wright film, but I don't hate it. It's fine. I don't know if I'll ever watch it again, but it's all right. So yeah, Fistful of Fingers is number 7. Okay, with Fistful of Fingers out of the way, now let's get to the good stuff. Okay, and don't get me wrong, I do think this is a very good movie. I do like this movie. My number 6 is the third and final installment into the Cornetto trilogy, and that is The World's End. Yeah. I will say back whenever I first saw the Cornetto trilogy, after I watched all three, I think this was actually my favorite. I thought it was really unique and weird, and I really liked that how weird it was. Now I do it is my least favorite out of the trilogy. Now I will say this: I'm not like a humongous fan of the Cornetto trilogy. You'll see it in this ranking, but I do like it. I do think they're very good and very funny films, but I'm not like the hugest fan of the Cornetto trilogy. Um, but yeah, The World's End, I do think it's the weakest out of the three. I think most people could probably agree with that, but it's definitely not bad. I mean, the performances are great. It's a little less funny than Hot Fuzz and Shaun of the Dead. Like it didn't make me laugh as much as those two, but it does have a very interesting story. It starts out not really that interesting, but then as it goes on, it has a twist in it, and it gets really weird. But that's what makes it good, though. I do like that aspect. But yeah, The World's End. It's good. It's pretty funny, just not as funny. And yeah, it's just the weakest out of the Cornell trilogy. I will say Simon Pegg and Nick Frost's chemistry, I mean, is good, of course, but they don't really. I don't know. I felt like their chemistry just wasn't really too much, like not as much as the other two, but especially Hot Fuzz. We'll get to that, but yeah, it's still good though. But yeah, The World's End. That is number 6. Okay, number 5. My number 5, I think a lot of people might will put this at number 1. This was the movie that put Edgar Wright on the map. Most people think it's his debut film, and it's the first installment into the Cornetto trilogy. That is my number 5, Shaun of the Dead. Yes, Shaun of the Dead. It's a very good film. I think it's more of a film that I appreciate more than I actually like, but I do enjoy it, and it is very funny. Um, it's a very good, very funny zombie film, and it's done very well. Like it's just a parody of zombie films, but it's done very well. Of course, there's some dumb jokes in it, but they do it in a clever way, unlike you know, um, a fistful of fingers. But yeah, Shaun of the Dead. Now I will say, and what kind of pushes it back for me is the chemistry between Simon Pegg and Nick Frost. While yes, it's good, they have a much better chemistry in the next movie I'll be showing. Um, but they are good. I just kind of wish they had a little bit more in this film. It kind of feels like Shaun has a little bit has like a better chemistry with his girlfriend than he does with Ed, Nick Frost's character. But um, you know, I guess it's just because I don't know, maybe it just shows them more together than with Nick Frost. Maybe I don't know, but that's kind of my only complaint with the film. Other than that, I do think it's very good, very funny, and yeah, it's just not my favorite Edgar Wright film, and not even my favorite out of the Cornetto trilogy. That would be my number 4. We'll get to that. But anyways, Shaun of the Dead is my number 5. Okay, my number 4. Now this one, along with Shaun of the Dead, there's probably a lot of people that would put this at their number 1, if not Shaun of the Dead, and it is the second installment into the Cornell trilogy, and in my opinion, the best out of the Cornell trilogy, and my personal favorite. My number 4 is Hot Fuzz. Yes, Hot Fuzz. yeah, I like three other films better, and if you know his filmography, then you know what they are. And some people might be like, "What? You like those movies better than Hot Fuzz?" I do. But we'll get to those, and even better than the Cornetto trilogy, for that matter. Yeah, I do. Um, but no, this is a very good, very funny film. It is definitely the best of the Cornell trilogy. And what really makes it good is the chemistry between Simon Pegg and Nick Frost. This is definitely their best. This is definitely the film that has their best chemistry, without a doubt. Like this film is all about their characters, their friendship. Was it Nicholas and Danny? Yeah, and this movie is also just hilarious. There's a lot of like dumb and also clever jokes in this film. Like this movie is packed with humor, and and also the action stuff is done very well too. Like this is a very well done action comedy for sure. Um, yeah, Hot Fuzz, really great film, really funny movie. Just not quite my favorite. There are three others I like better than it and better than the Cornetto trilogy, but yeah, we'll get to those. But yeah, Hot Fuzz is my number four. Okay, my number three is this movie blew me away the very first time I saw it. Like I was amazed at this film. Same with my number two. But yeah, my number three is Baby Driver. Yeah, Baby Driver, really awesome action comedy romance film. Like this movie, along with my number one, and we'll get to that too, which I kind of think my number one does a little bit better. But this is great. This has great action, comedy, and romance. Just so good. They all three of those genres blend together. It's so good. And also, I have to mention, yeah, I said comedy. Um, this movie is hilarious, and I think the comedy is kind of a little overshadowed by the action in this movie, and maybe even the romance too. I don't know, but but the action for sure. When most people talk about this movie, they mostly just say, "Oh, it's such a great action film." It's a great comedy too. Like it kind of pisses me off honestly when people say that it's more of an action movie. It's all three, like all three equally, action, comedy, or romance. And the comedy is hilarious. This is a really funny movie. Um, but yeah, and also great cast. You got Angelo Gort, the controversial Kevin Spacey, but you know, beside that, he's great in this film. Lily James, Isa Gonzalez, which I think I called her Eliza Gonzalez in a older video. I apologize for that. John Hamm and Jamie Foxx, all great in this film. I love the chemistry between the romance between Ansel Gore and Lily James, Baby, and what's her name, Deborah. Yeah, they their romance is great in this film. Um, and also, of course, I got to mention the soundtrack. Like, this movie, music is a very big part of this film because the character listens to music all the time because he has tinnitus, so he has to drain it out. And the soundtrack is awesome. Like, it's all over the place. There's like so many different genres in the soundtrack, and it's great. It really is. I think I do like another Edgar Wright soundtrack better than this, and we'll get to that later. But no, this is a great soundtrack. But yeah, Baby Driver is awesome, and man, this was close to being my number two, like really close. But there was another movie that I watched just recently for the first time, and it surprisingly beat Baby Driver. Um, and we'll get to that like very soon, as soon as I get done with this. But yeah, Baby Driver, awesome film. That is my number two. Yeah. Okay, my number two. Again, I'm so shocked that this beat Baby Driver. This was my first time watching this, and this is his most recent film, and I think it's his most underrated film because Apparently not a lot of people like this movie. I think it's a little bit more divisive because there are some people that do like this movie, but I loved this movie. In fact, it was even close to beating my number one. But then I was thinking, no, not quite. But I still loved this movie. My number two was last year's Last Night in Soho. Holy shit, this movie blew me away. Just like Baby Driver the very first time I saw it. This movie blew me away. I This was one of my most anticipated films of last year, and of course I didn't get to watch it until well just recently. But yeah, I was blown away. This is an amazing film. This is of course Edgar Wright just doing a straight horror film. Like, not really a comedy. It's more just like a psychological horror film. And in my opinion, he nailed it. I think a lot of people might disagree. Uh, those of y'all who do disagree, why? Because no, he nailed it. I think he nailed it. I think he did a very good job with it. I don't want to say too much about it, but it's about fashion. That's basically all I could say about the movie. But there is a lot to it than that, and there's a twist in this movie that is awesome. And of course, you got a great performance by Anya Taylor Joy, who's an actress I've really been getting into lately. I loved her in The Northman and The Witch, especially The Witch. Yeah, she was great in this movie as well. But I also really liked Thomasin McKenzie's performance, who I guess is another up and coming actress along with Anya Taylor Joy, and she's the lead in this movie. And this was my first time seeing her in anything, and she was awesome. She was I loved her in this movie. I loved Anya too, but Thomas and McKenzie like really nailed it. I loved her character, and I just loved her. Yeah, this movie is great. Now I don't know if you are Edgar Wright. If you are an Edgar Wright film, I can't even speak. I'm sorry. If you are an Edgar Wright fan, I said film. Um, I still recommend this movie if you haven't seen it, but you might not like it. But if you're not a huge fan of the Cornetto trilogy, then you might like this movie. You might. Yeah, this blew me away. I absolutely loved it. It was amazing. Um, yeah, Last Night in Soho, my favorite film of last year so far. But then again, I haven't seen too many films for last year. Um, but so far this is my favorite. Last Night in Soho is my number two. Would be my number one if it wasn't for what my number one is, because it happens to be one of my all-time favorite movies. But because this next one is a 10 out of 10. This one's just a 9 out of 10. But yeah, Last Night in Soho is my number two. And my number one favorite Edgar Wright film, and if you've been keeping track, you know what it is. And if you know my channel, you most likely know what it is. That is, of course, bam 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 bam. Scott Pilgrim versus the World. Yes. Oh man, I've talked a lot about this movie on my channel. I fucking love it. I've always loved this film. Yeah, Last Night in Soho was close to beating this, but not quite. This movie, yeah, this is if you watched my top 30 favorite movies of all time list, this was definitely in there. This was, I want to say, number 11 maybe. I could be wrong, but something like that. And I just fucking love this. And along with Baby Driver, this movie, it does action, comedy, romance very well. Maybe even a little bit better. Though the comedy is even stronger in this movie than it is in Baby Driver. But yeah, hilarious movie too, and the action's great. Even the romance between Scott and Ramona. are great, and Michael Cera and Mary Elizabeth Winstead have great chemistry in this film. Also, you also have other great actors like Jason Schwartzman, Anna Kendrick, fucking Captain America, Chris Evans, I can't think of his name, Brie Larson, Mae Whitman, Karen Culkin as Wallace, probably my favorite character in the movie. Brandon Ralph, I think is his name. Um, yeah, everybody in this movie is great and hilarious, and this movie is just one of the funniest movies I've ever seen, and I just fucking love Scott Pilgrim versus the World. Also, again, like Baby Driver, this also has an amazing soundtrack. I mean, you got first of all, you have Beck writing the Sex Bomb songs. That is awesome. But the soundtrack itself, you have Frank Black, Rolling Stones, a bunch of stuff. Yeah, I can't really think of a whole lot at the moment, but no, the soundtrack is amazing, and this movie is just amazing. Um, yeah, Scott Pilgrim versus the World, of course, is my number one favorite Edgar Wright film. All right, there we go. There is my ranking for all seven, not six, seven of Edgar Wright's films. All right, so in the comments, please give me your ranking for Edgar Wright's films, and if you haven't seen A Fistful of Fingers, that's fine. You don't have to add that one. Just out of all the others, though, what's your ranking? And if you don't want to do the ranking, that's fine. Just give me your favorite and least favorite Edgar Wright film. And if your least favorite is Last Night in Soho, oh, I guess we can't be friends. No, I'm kidding. Um, no, I respect your opinion. Um, but I just wish more people would like that movie. Anyway, so all right, so next, this coming Thursday will be my ranking for the Velvet Underground's albums. Yeah, their discography ranking. I have one more, as I'm recording this. I have one more album to listen to, but I will be doing that very soon. It'll be out this Thursday. So yeah, look out for that. And as for Monday, that will be a movie review. I won't reveal what it is yet because I gotta do a poll on my Instagram of what it is, but it will be a movie I haven't seen before. So I will say one movie for sure that will be on the poll will be Lost in Translation. That one will be on there for sure. And it will win. We'll see, but it'll be up against three other movies, so you never know. Anyways, so please like, subscribe, comment, and hit the bell. And I'll see you next time. All right. Peace.